You call this order transformative. How so?
Well, this is a historic day in America. Presidents have been talking about this idea. It's floated around. But today we are actually seeing an announcement that's going to end this system where Americans are getting taken advantage of. Other countries have been laughing at us. We're paying 10, 12, 15 times more for the same medication. Sometimes medications sold by United States pharma companies. We want pharma companies to thrive. We want pharma companies that do business in the United States to thrive, but we need a level playing field. You know, you mentioned there may be a concern about access to drugs. Well, we currently have an access problem because of these crazy high prices that represent price gouging of Americans selectively, while you can go to other countries and buy these same drugs much cheaper. Imagine you bought a car for $100,000, and then you found out the exact same new car is sold in London for $10,000. It's not right. So this is a historic day in America where we're going to be tackling this problem in this administration.
You're a surgical oncologist. The president mentioned asthma drugs, cancer drugs as well. What types of drugs would be impacted here, and how soon might people see some savings?
Well, that's what I love about this executive order. It is broad and addresses all drugs where there's a significant disparity in price overseas from the United States. Now, we're not talking about the disparity between a drug sold in Sudan or Ethiopia in the United States. We're talking about the disparity between the price in the U.S. and other wealthy countries, OECD countries. And that has been a game that's been going on for a long time. Everybody knows it. And so now we're going to be using the power of negotiation. We're going to be using diplomacy. We're asking companies to voluntarily give us the same best price in wealthy countries that they offer elsewhere. But we also are reserving the right to use the full regulatory and policy power of this administration to make it happen. So we're starting off by asking companies to work with us, and we are also reserving the right to use this full regulatory authority to make it happen.
So is there an example of a certain type of drug that people could expect to see a change, or is it at this point too broad to know?
Well, I think the beauty of it is that it is broad. Now, as you know, many of the chronic disease medications that are sort of your daily pills, many of those are already generic and inexpensive. But when you start talking about the new drugs, the drugs on patent, the drugs with market exclusivity, the biologic drugs that have commercials where people are always dancing and singing, they're always dancing and singing on these commercials. Those drugs sometimes are sold in the United States for $80,000 and for $5,000 or $10,000 in other countries. And that's where you really see a savings. And that savings is going to be harnessed to do some amazing things in healthcare and in this country.
I think about safety, right, of the drugs that are manufactured in the U.S., and the FDA has certain regulations around drugs that are manufactured here. Will this policy impact at all how the FDA approves new drugs or manages existing approvals of drugs?
Well, that's our job, public safety at the FDA, and so we take that very seriously. We've taken steps to change the inspection process overseas in the last 2 weeks. We are moving from scheduled inspections of foreign pharma manufacturing plants to unannounced surprise inspections, because in my opinion, a scheduled inspection overseas is no inspection. They know when we're coming. Sometimes they were sending limos to pick up our FDA inspectors and take them to the plant to do the inspection. They have been laughing at us. So we take public safety very seriously. And, you know, there's a lot of incentives that we have at the FDA to encourage companies to level the playing field and give us a good price. And so we're going to be exploring all of those incentives. We also have the option of allowing states to import drugs from other countries. And there's a precedent for that. And that's something that's on the table as well.